the last man to launch into an attack. We'll wait and see. 11.6 miles to go. Remember, the real toughness of the climb is 4.3 from the top.
We're just looking at BMC. Have got a large number of riders in there as well. I just spotted big old Mickey Shaw, number 21.
Yeah, Mickey Shaw just peeking into our picture, and also still here is Ben Herman's riding right behind him at the start of this race. A lot of people on the team were suggesting Ben Herman's would be their man.
Live. Ready, ponte live.
This race at the start by 28 seconds from Tom Skoonjens. He's disappeared. He's now got a buffer of 45 seconds over Julien Alaphilippe, who is in the group.
¿Cómo te llamas, Molsa?
There are so many guys still in with a chance, and Ben Herman's, I've just noticed just in front of Ben Herman's in the white jersey as they break away from cancer. Most courageous rider from
¿Tú estás on live ahora mismo?
In TBMC. Danilo, he's sitting there as well. So
yo cabrón, está on live.
Down to numbers at the end, but you know, Sky, they are phenomenal, really, aren't they? This is a well-drilled plan that they've executed to perfection so many times before.
Yeah, they got some serious horsepower, and like we're just joking about it again. You know, with the best tactics are just having a ton of horsepower there on the front. So if you have that horsepower, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You could even mess up a little bit sometimes and still, you know, make up for the differences just because you have somebody like Sergio who can do some climbs like nobody else's business.
Christian Knees at the front, by the way. He's getting on a bit now. He's 34 years of age, but he came over to Sky back in 2011 and hasn't won much since.
Can your kitchen knife do this? How about this? Well, now it can. Born of a forge with a heart of steel and fire is a once-in-a-lifetime knife inspired by the hit TV show Forged in Fire. So sharp and so strong, it will cut everything in your kitchen, frozen or fresh. Forged in Fire's knives shatters the competition, and that means no more bashing bread or terrorizing your turkey. Each knife is hammered right out of the and sharpened so you can tear through your T-bone and even fillet your fish. Make salads speedy and simple, then finish with your fruits. It's professional ergonomics handled chopping this frozen solid block of ice, and that torture won't dull its precision sharpness. Amazing! Professional chefs know a sharper knife is a safer knife because you cut exactly where you need to. Your food, not your fingers. Let's watch that again. That's a sharp knife. It may be the last knife you'll ever buy, and we'll hand number each limited edition item to commemorate your purchase. Over $300, but you won't pay that. Fire Chef's knife for the low price of $29.95, and when you order now, you'll get the Forged in Fire paring knife absolutely free for razor sharp results with your fruits and vegetables. And that's not all. Order a second set of knives right now, and we'll give you free shipping on the entire order. And all Forged in Fire knives come with our 50-year guarantee. But you must order now.
To order, call 1-800-592-9364 or go to buyforgedinfire.com. Don't wait. Call 1-800-592-9364 or go to buyforgedinfire.com.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear copper-fit Advanced Back Pro.
Redding tiene ese tercer en platino.
Just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here.
Four built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain and it's affecting your everyday life. Do something. if you can find something to help you get back out and be active like copper fit, go for it. Do not give up.
A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's what copper fit.
That's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Call 1-800-951-0086 or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good. That's what I've been saying. You think it was fair?
Háblate con tu territo,
It was
Ricky.
fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
Peacock is streaming, and it's free. TV, movies, sports,
Breaking news.
docs, tunes, more? Tons. And that's why you can't not watch.
Yeah, this is a vicious mountain that stands as high as the famous mountains in the Tour de France, in the Pyrenees or the Alps.
Look at how much we've already climbed. We've climbed close to 10,000 feet already today, and they still have to tackle Mount Baldy. The last bit is only 7 kilometers long, but it's just the fastest climb that we've ever done. It's around 22.5 minutes long. So it's a long climb, very steep. The teammates aren't going to be able to help too much at all.
Oh, Christian Knies here. I think he's reaching the end of his pacemaking. He is really finding it very, very hard. We are 16 kilometers, 10 miles. We're not too far away. It's been going steady uphill, don't get me wrong, but wait till you see the last 4.3 miles of this mountain. It is hard to believe it can get any harder, but it does.
Well, they're kicking up to about 30 kilometers an hour. You try to ride uphill at 16, 17 miles an hour, especially when you've been in the saddle for around about 3 hours of racing. It's at this point now that having felt the pressure on your legs, you're starting to think, do I really want to continue to hurt like this? And that's why we're seeing a lot of riders dropping off the back. One man who hasn't dropped off the back, though, is the man who leads this race overall, and Peter Sagan. I think, as Jensi said just a little bit earlier, he's very happy with a steady tempo, but once we get to the steeper gradients, that's when we'll see the changes of tempo, and that's something that climbers are very capable of doing.
Well, as we look along the ribbon here of the road itself, we're not too far from the start of the climb. Let's go out to inside the race with Lexus, pick up again with Steve Perino. Steve.
Well, Phil, as you promised, the temperature is dropping here. We're just in the mid-50s right now. I just checked in with Team Sky's director, Sigas. Is there any reason right now that you guys might want to put more pressure on the group to try and soften up Peter Sagan? I said, you know what, we can try as hard as we want, but on this kind of pitch right now, we are not going to lose him. The action's going to happen at 8K out, or what you were saying before, Phil.
I think you are absolutely right. Sagan is
Una cerveza mi friso, un
in
daiki.
trouble. But I don't
¿Qué pero los Daiki se supone que están en el freezer?
Dame un daiki.
¿Por qué tú no te pareces para uno para otro?
Ay, no,
Pero hay
man.
que saber hacerlo así,
There
suave.
must be an awful lot of nervous riders. I mean, Jens, just take you know this guy, Jens. What are these guys thinking, knowing what's to come? How do they feel right now, knowing what's ahead of them?
Well, I guess they have a recon this climb, and some people maybe have been here 3 years ago when we did it last time, so they know what's coming up, and they know exactly where it gets steep, where it's a little downhill. We all know that about 2 kilometers to go, there's a tiny little downhill, but you can like catch your breath a little bit. So they know what's coming up, and they will plan their tactics towards there. Christian Knies goes out, he gets a little handshake, and I think that's probably Knies' last pull it was. And now they hand over to another rider. So they know what's coming up, and they will be ready for their attacks.
Yeah, this is really fast up here, like we've been saying. It's like 25, 35 kilometers an hour. So, Christian Knies is out of here. He's going to just ride to the finish line by himself. But like Servais Kanavan, the general class from Team Sky was saying that the biggest problem they could have with Peter is not here. It's going to be at the steepest one. And that's where they can make the difference. Push the tempo hard on the steep bits and not on the flatter bits. Because if they just go hard on the flats or the 3 to 5% grade, they're not going to do any damage to Pete.
Just a point of interest, gentlemen. The last time the race came up here in 2012, Peter Sagan lost 25 minutes on the final climb of the day. But it's a question of mentality as well.
Yeah, but don't forget, he wasn't the leader of the tour. Now he's got more incentive, of course. Don't forget, on this 7th day, 2012, the winner was Hessing. Joe Dombrowski was 4th, Matthew Boucher was 12th, and Phil Dyden finished in 18th place. And those guys are in our pictures again today.
Yeah, but look at the gap to Matthew Boucher in 12th position. He was 1 minute and 33 seconds behind the winner, Robert Hessing. And that's what they've got to do today if they want to get rid of Peter Sagan. Sagan starts with a serious buffer of 45 seconds over everybody else. And you're right, Phil, today he's riding as the overall leader of this race. He'll ride this race with a completely different mentality. But I think he's just too heavy a build to drag that big carcass of his up to 2,100 meters of altitude.
He told Jens at dinner last night when Jens says, Peter, you're riding well, you could finish in the top 3. And he said to him, Jens, I'm still riding to win the race. Now, I don't know whether he believes in himself, but I think mentally he's matured in the first 3 days.
When he first came onto the scene, we've always said about Peter Sagan, we don't know where he can go. And still, he's only 25 years of age. He doesn't know whether to be a sprinter, whether to be a climber, or whether to be an all-rounder. If he wanted to be an overall contender, he'd have to shed off a couple of kilos. But a good ride in a race like this could change the view that he has on other races that he lines up for.
Well, you must, you know the pacemaker. You've been in the peloton approaching this before, Christian. That to me looks a very fast tempo.
No, they're going fast. I mean, it's hard to see because there isn't too much of an expression on Phil Dynan, the rider from Sky's face right now, but they are going very fast. I mean, they're going 25 miles an hour up and down the hill the whole time. Up here in the helicopter, you can see the gaps opening. You see 15, 20 guys back. There's a gap of 10 meters. So, see, now you rip it through this corner. It makes it harder.
Oh, well, you were just saying there about, I was just trying to think about lining up for the corners, and that was a little bit precarious. And riders, you might see a couple of guys are backing off a fraction. You know, when you go down a descent like this, it's always very, very difficult to go around the corner because yes, you might have done a recon, but just watch this. He's taken a long line, he's going very far, lose a little bit of a speed wobble going around there as well, and it was obviously a little bit precarious. Gets into the gravel, and what that will have done, that will have also put the heart rate up on his teammates a little bit further back, so they've got to calm down a fraction. The excitement of trying to set this up, but what you've got to do is you've got to concentrate not on the rider just in front of you when you're in the line like this. You've got to look 4 or 5 riders in front to figure out what line that rider is taking round the corner, and sometimes maybe back off a couple of lengths, because you do know that sometimes you might have to change your line going around the corner, and if you don't have space to do it, that's when we get riders coming unstuck.
Well, this is a little bit of a respite now, so it's really up and down here for the next couple of kilometers, and there's one serious deep descent actually, and then we really hit that last pitch, and it's all about that last 7 kilometers, so that's where Sky is going to throw it down.
Well, just standing at the back of the field there, the youngest man in the race is still in this leading group, Jeffrey Curran. That's an outstanding ride by the Action Rider, and as you can see, that field is now down to about 25 men.
19 years of age, by the way, Jeff Curran. It really is quite amazing. It's scary to see that he's riding at this level of sport at 19 years of age. And you know, we've often talked about the dark era of cycling 10 and 15 years ago. Well, I think the fact that you can see 19 and 20 and 21-year-old riders breaking through to this level of the sport is just an indication that the sport has dramatically changed over the years.
Well, I'll tell you one guy who's not going to be wasting any energy when it is technical and descents is Peter Sagan. I mean, Peter's sitting there in 6th place, the leader of the race. He's easily the best descender in this peloton, so he'll completely recover. He probably having drinking his bottle going through that corner.
So Sergio, and now he's also sitting a little bit further back. He's a great bike handler. He's not the typical build for a Colombian. I've seen some of these guys who come to these races. They weigh in at 55, 56 kilos. He's a little bit heavier. He's closing up to 64 kilos. He's a guy who can ride a very good individual time trial. But at the end of the day, I just think that Sky sent him back to Colombia to prepare at altitude to be on form at the right time for this race, and we saw that in the performance yesterday. I thought the change from Big Bear Lake down from altitude down to the valley below might have gone against him, but it might go to his advantage once we get up to the altitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe, like you're saying, that Sergio being 135 pounds is a big Colombian, but he isn't, I mean, he isn't tall, but he does have some girth to him. He's some big legs, but it's really powerful, and he has some kick to him too. So if it does come down to a sprint, he has some giddy up.
Well, he's a little bit like, if you remember, Santiago Botero, who was a great time trialist from Colombia, and he was also a slightly heavier built rider. He came back from a pedigree on the track, but he was certainly able to turn it on when it came to big stage races like the Tour de France. I remember one of his great victories to a stage into Briançon in the Tour de France after a long breakaway. Sky, though, they are riding to the recipe. Now, to beat them today, I think you've got to mess it up a little bit. You've got to destroy their organization at the front. They are in charge, they're in control, and as long as they stay in control, it's going to bolster their morale.
But like we were saying before, Phil said, what would you do now? You're not going to really attack that. There's not like you're going to go too much faster than that. So you have to really wait. At this point, you have to wait because you're not going to attack. You're not going to make too much of a difference on these up and down hills. You have to wait to the steep part, to Mount Baldy.
That's the question: is will Peter Sagan try and follow the accelerations? I don't think he will try and follow the accelerations. He will try and ride at his own tempo, and then we'll get his chance to see just exactly what Jay McCarthy's going to do. Is he going to try and nurse at Peter Sagan up the next part of the race, or is he going to try and ride his own events?
Well, at the moment we are just inside 4 miles from when the climb actually is measured to the summit, where it gets extremely steep. And Sky have still got 3 riders setting the pace at the front. They're setting it up as best they can, and we're getting closer and closer to the base of the real mountain.
Well, we've had a hard ride so far. The red spot on the profile was the first climb of the day, down through the sprint points at Glendora, over through the next sprint climb of the day, and now they're just about getting to the nice light blue little part at the end, which is exciting for us because that's where the gradient begins to kick in.
Still good pacemaking here by Phil Dijkman, the Irishman, just keeping the pressure on. The British champion, Peter Kenyon, just behind. They're keeping the tempo going as best they can for as long as they can. But sooner or later, the climbers will take over.
Yeah, out of those 3 guys, it looks like Ian Basil is the most protected. So he obviously has legs. The American did a great TT yesterday for a skinny guy, so he has some very good form.
Yes, Ian Boswell, third in line there of the Sky Ride. Now the wind is rising a little bit, and we're hoping that we might have terrific visibility by the time the boys get up here on top of the mountain. But at the moment it's still Phil Dijkman on the front, setting the pace. Looking further down there, I've seen the former champion of Australia, Darren Lapthorne, is still here, hanging on for Drapac at the back of the bunch. But as these boys continue, nobody now will escape, that's for sure. They are going to have to continue as they come up. That's just over the top of the Glendora Mountain Road, and I'm not too sure where that is because we've crossed the mountain road. We're just continuing on towards that. It's just and that was on the other way down. Remember, we're going back along the road we went out on now as we start to line up for Mount Baldy. The actual route would have come in from the rider's right, but very shortly they go straight on and they climb up towards Mount Baldy. Well, the wind did come up. There's the snow we can show you now, but hey, we've got visibility, and that's where we're going next.
After 225 years of Jim Beam, you'd think we just look back on our past. Nope. We're looking to our future. We're crafting new bourbons, creating new ways to drink them, and teaching a new generation of distillers. So no, we're not raising a glass to the last 225 years. We're raising Jim Beam for 225 years to come.
It's a war zone out there, and your car's paint gets attacked every day by acid rain, damaging rocks, scorching sun, leaving your paint dull and faded. Now you can clean, shine, and protect with Shine Armor, the amazing new car polish that's made with super nano ceramic, guaranteed to be the greatest shine and protection you've ever used. Just spray it on to restore your car's finish with ease. It's not a wax, but got a high-tech ceramic shield that instantly repels dirt and debris. Nothing sticks, and water just dances right off. Even a fried egg won't stick. Amazing. No matter where you drive, everything cleans up just like that. Shine Armor with nano ceramic is made in the USA, and it's not just a little better, it's a lot better, making all other polishes obsolete. The secret? Our exclusive ceramic formula that fills in micro cracks and crevices to create an ultra-durable protective barrier against harsh elements. Even fire can't break the protection. And nuts and bolts just bounce off without a scratch. Bumpers, trim, mirrors, glass, and more. You'll get a beautiful showroom shine with Shine Armor. Professional ceramic finishes can cost you thousands, but act now and get Shine Armor for only $19.99. But wait, we'll also send you 2 premium microfiber towels for a perfect, easy application in just minutes. Absolutely free. And we're not done. We'll double this offer and send you a second set. That's enough Shine Armor for your cars, trucks, boats, RVs, and more. Just pay a separate fee, and we'll ship it to you free. That's 2 bottles of Shine Armor, 4 microfiber towels, and free shipping. But you have to call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-439-4069 or go online at buyshinearmor.com. Don't delay. Call 1-800-439-4069 or go online at buyshinearmor.com. Order now.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head in monthly payments, there's a secret the credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $10,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for the credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Credit Associates, and we're offering you free information on how to completely resolve your credit card debt with a monthly payment you can afford. To see how much you could save, call now. 1-800-930-4764. Don't declare bankruptcy. Don't consolidate. Give us 10 minutes and we can save you thousands. After all, we depend on your success and offer a guarantee so there's no risk to call. Credit Associates. Live better, debt-free. Find out how easy it is by calling now. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Credit Associates now and see how much money you could save. For free, call 1-800-930-4764.
Stephen Curry, Aaron Rodgers, Tony Romo, Super Bowl MVP Patrick Mahomes, and many more team up in Tahoe for the American Century Championship on NBCS.